Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bleav in Iowa. I'm Brady Beaton. He's Logan Blackman. He is former Hawkeye tight end Dominique Daphne. And how about them Hawkeyes? A 37-0 drubbing of the Wisconsin Badgers. This game was never in doubt. I'll be honest, this is going to be just a victory lap type of show because there's not a lot to complain about in this one. It was all Iowa all the time. So whichever one of you want to take the baton first and start the victory lap of just killing Wisconsin. I think it was the first shutout in Camp Randall in 45 years or something like that. Yeah, a bunch of great stats. So you guys, Logan, I'll let you go first because I know you have a vendetta against Wisconsin because they knocked your Cubbies out. So I'll let you get this going first.
Yeah, I'll let Dom say the most obvious part of this whole thing. I'll leave because that's his trademark. I'll leave that to him. But it was just an awesome. There's nothing better in sports than beating your rivals, and there's nothing better than beating your rivals on the road, and then there's nothing better than that than beating your rivals on the road by 37 points and blanking them and beating them by I don't even know what the combined score is. I think it was like 89 to 10 or something like that the past 2 years between Iowa and Wisconsin. It's been beautiful. It's been beautiful. My second ever Iowa game was against Wisconsin, and Wisconsin won that game in overtime. So I have this vitriol, like negative viewpoint of Wisconsin, regardless of them being rivals with Iowa. There's something about Wisconsin, them like being them and Iowa just being so tightly knit in regards to very similar play styles and everything like that. And the rivalry's like split right down the middle. I think Wisconsin has one more win in this rivalry throughout the history of it. Like it's as close of a rivalry as you can get. And to go in Wisconsin, as Kirk Cousins says, walk in your trap, take over your trap. And walked in Wisconsin, did the whole jump around thing in the fourth quarter. We saw Mark Gronowski getting jumped around a little bit with the bad knee. It was just
Yeah, that's a
it was
sad
a
jump
fun feeling.
around. That's the risk you take having a fourth quarter tradition is when you're getting just pumped by 30, you still have to play jump around and yay. Jump around. Woo.
I think it was the best one ever. I think it was the best one ever.
It's the risk you take during a fourth quarter. Hey, when if it's a 3-point game, yeah, the whole stadium gets excited. Yeah, but when you're getting pumped, everyone in the booth is going, "Do I really have to play House of Pain right now? Can we just pretend like the audio system broke?" Dom, I mean that had to be awesome for you to watch, especially as a former player. I mean that was yeah, again, victory lap post game show.
Logan, I assume what you're asking me is belt to ass is what that was.
Oh yeah.
And definitely, I'd say one of our cleanest games that we've played as far as like three phases. And this is what it's going to have to look forward to, or this is what it's going to have to look like moving forward. And they honestly, I got to give them a pat on the back because they did me a big solid as far as I live in Nashville, so it's SEC country, Ole Miss, Tennessee, obviously Vandy's here, Alabama, Florida. Everybody, all they talk about is SEC, and the SEC had a bunch of close games against people they weren't supposed to have close games with. Obviously, I got a bunch of friends with the Ole Miss. They almost lost to Washington State. So I'm like, wow, you guys are playing close games with Washington State, and I was like, y'all see what the Iowa boys did? Belt to ass. That's how we win in the Big Ten. Yeah, that's how we get down over here. So definitely appreciate putting up 37 points, giving them a donut, and there's like you said, just a victory lap. Good to see us play well together as a team and come out and beat these boys. Because when I was there, we didn't we set up a donut. We didn't beat them once. So obviously to see them get a dub like this is extremely happy.
Yeah, and really, I mean, there's not a lot else to say about it just because it was never a game you get out 17 nothing, and this is kind of where we hoped Iowa would be. Now granted, Wisconsin is a dumpster fire and it's going to be from one dumpster fire to another, which I haven't looked at the line yet for the Penn State game, but I must have flipped Indiana and Penn State. Like when I was looking at the schedule, I'm going, oh, okay, Indiana's going to be a decent team. Turns out they're just an absolute wagon. That, by the way, can we get retroactive bonus points for? I mean, Iowa should have beat Indiana. Iowa should have beaten Indiana, and okay, it's a double-edged sword with Iowa State losing, because on the one hand, it's like, haha, Iowa State lost to Colorado. But on the other hand, had they won, Iowa would be 4-2 with 2 losses coming by like 5 points to 2 undefeated teams. So, but anyway, Wisconsin, just back to the point, Wisconsin dumpster fire. I am surprised Luke Fickell is still gainfully employed by the University of Wisconsin.
Hey, Wisconsin fans, you're spoiled. You're spoiled. You have to take these bad losses because you're spoiled. Remember, Barry Alvarez told you that. So you got to take this on the chin and just go, hey, you're Wisconsin. You got to take it. You got to take it. You're just spoiled. Spoiled rotten Wisconsin. And
what a dumb comment.
And it's this game was just like, I love seeing big guys get interceptions and run with the football. Like, it was just awesome. See Aaron Graves come that close to score. I think they should have just given him the touchdown before, just for the sake of it. And what I thought was really, I got a little nervous about this, like a pessimistic side of me got a little nervous about when Kamari Moulton scored that touchdown in the first drive, or not the first drive, but the first touchdown of the game. He did the Steph Curry night right after he scored the touchdown. I was like, man, it's 10-0. It's
a little early.
Early to do that. But and he said in the press conference, he was like, we just felt it. It was like Dom always said, it was belt to ass the entire time. And Gronowski had that pick, which it was a bad throw from Gronowski. I understand what Tim Lester's trying to do, trying to like push the tempo a little bit. It's like, oh, we got a turnover. Let's try to throw the ball down the field again. It was just a bad throw. But apart from that, you really couldn't have asked much more from anybody in this game. Like there was a one highlight that I saw of Kirk even jumping around on the sideline after the defense got a turnover. Like everybody was feeling it in this game. The only part that I got nervous about, and this is the Bulls fan inside of me, but I really got a little nervy seeing Mark Gronowski suit up in the fourth quarter. That's just the little bit of the Derrick Rose thing in the back of my head. Like, he's already a little banged up. I don't want to see it anymore, but we did see Jeremy Hicklinski come in for a little bit at the very end of the game. But yeah, just a awesome feeling beating Wisconsin, especially the way they did it. And Luke Fickell, like I said with Scott Frost back in the day, he can stay at Wisconsin as long as he wants. He can be there forever. Wisconsin, I don't think you need to change a head coach. I'm good with it. He can stay there, and just as long as these results keep coming like this, because it's a very fun feeling right now.
Yeah, definitely enjoying the results, and kind of like you said with Kamari Moulton, it's when you play football. Obviously, we all know like that first quarter is kind of when you could equate it to that first couple rounds of boxing where you're kind of feeling the opponent out, and you're kind of, are they bringing juice today? Are they like that first hit you take it? You're like, are these boys hitting really, or is it just the hype videos look real good? And I think him going night is the energy they felt, and I honestly just don't think they felt the Wisconsin teams that we're used to, where they're really physical and they come out to play and they have a lot of juice and they're trying to bully guys. Like, other than the one player talking shit before the game, which I don't know why we keep doing this, why we have to keep having this whole thing, but we'll get to that when it gets to Black Friday. Other than that, I mean, there wasn't really much of a fight shown. And you could see it where a lot of the times where you see the line of scrimmage moving a lot of times where you see our guys getting up hype, whether it was a 5-6 yard gain, talking, you could just tell by the energy. Is like, oh yeah, they're not on our level today. They're not coming to play with us. They can't play with us. You feel the first guy hit you and you're just like, that was it. So you're just like, oh yeah, we got one for today. So I felt like with that early energy, with that early celebration, I think they just felt like they can't mess with us today. They usually talk about it being a mirror match. I was like, yeah, y'all not ready to play today. And I think that's the score obviously shows that is the truth, that they didn't come to play. We did. We had most of the energy. We had most of the grit, the toughness that we're known for. And obviously you can see 37-0. We got nothing else to say.
So let me ask you guys this, because yes, it's amazing to beat Wisconsin by 37. It was, a rivalry win is never something to complain about. But how much stock do you actually put into this for the long term of the season? Because Wisconsin is not good. Logan texted us in the group chat and jokingly said, "Hey, when is when are they going to get their first points? Because they have like Ohio State and Oregon, I think, is their next two games." So, how much of stock do you actually put into beating Wisconsin? Because if this was faceless team, let's call it Northwestern, then we wouldn't be celebrating as much because it's not a rival. How much stock do you put into the win?
I'm very 50-50 in regards to it because of I thought Iowa would go into this game and win, maybe not by 37 points. And there was that little bit of a concern with Gronowski's injury and stuff like that, of how much of him would he be in this game? Would there be any holding him back a little bit? Because Dom brought it in that we were doing the preview about if he's not able to be himself, then don't play him. And these games against Wisconsin, you could see there's still a little bit there, but you doing the quarterback sneak because okay, well, that's a good step in the right direction for that. And you hope to continue to grow from a game like this because we talked about with when you beat the crap out of let's just look at Illinois State last year where it's against Illinois State. I know the end result wasn't what it ended up being because we thought Cade McNamara looked really good in that game. He ended up being really bad. But the confidence you can build from a game like this, even though you're this is a bad team, you can try and build on confidence and say, well, we can do this here. Let's try it in another game because Penn State's really low on confidence right now. So we could try some things there, maybe just build onto that. I don't know if it's going to go Iowa's going to run the table the rest of the way, but it's a good feeling to get a big time win against Wisconsin like this.
Yeah, I agree. I'm obviously a little 50-50, but I think I take more from the way we played versus who we played.
Mm-hmm.
We came out and we looked like a really solid football team on all three phases of the ball. And like you said, that's something to build off of. And that's something that we could put up on the film, in the film room and say, hey, guys, this is who we are. This is who we're going to be moving forward. And this is the type of football we're going to play for the rest of the season, no matter who's on the other side. So while obviously Wisconsin's not the best team, and they're kind of in a slump as far as the program in the past couple of years. But, you can, like you said, it's Big Ten opponents. And what people hate about the Big Ten is it's extremely physical. It's extremely, it's not always the cutest thing. It's not always, but it's usually more than likely competitive. And you're playing a team, you're one of your rivals, one of your trophy games, where a lot of times you could throw the stats out. When you're playing for a trophy, when you're playing against a team that you have this rivalry against, I mean, anything could possibly happen on any given Saturday. So it's just I'm going to take stuff from the fact that we won and from the fact that how we looked when we won. Obviously, I would love for it to have been against, Indiana, where we could have, a little bit of and a little bit more to say about those games and take something from those games. But I'm going to take more from the fact of how we looked when we won versus who we played against when we won. And hopefully we can continue this momentum, continue to play like that in all three phases when we play Oregon and when we play USC. And, of course, on Black Friday night when we play Nebraska, another ranked opponent. So that's really more where my mind is going from this.
Can I change something up? I know my big thing was 5-1 going into Penn State. They're 4-2. I apologize to Kirk Cignetti. I didn't realize Indiana was going to be the behemoth they are, even though Iowa had them by the balls. 6-2 going into Oregon. 6-2 in Oregon comes into town. Can I get you guys on that board? That Penn State, Iowa's actually a 2.5-point favorite right now over Penn State. Then you have Minnesota at home, and then the bye. Then Oregon comes to town. Can I get you on 6-2 when Oregon comes to Kinnick?
I would say I'm pretty confident in that run right now because I remember back when the Indiana game, I said that I thought they played better. I thought they matched up better against Penn State, even this before all the debacle that took place against UCLA Northwestern. And right now with Aller going out for the season, with James Franklin, I don't know if they're going to get some stupid new head coach boost or anything like that.
Not when you had national championship hopes. Listen, when you're USC and
true.
You're in the dirt, or UCLA, excuse me, and you're in the dirt, yeah, you have nowhere to go but up, and they obviously didn't like their old head coach. When you come into the season thinking you're going to be a national championship team, you ain't getting some boost after 3 straight losses.
Exactly. And going into Kinnick, we've seen Iowa beat teams like Penn State, or we've seen Iowa beat Penn State in Kinnick Stadium before. And this Penn State team, it's just not good. I don't know what happened before the season started, or because Aller in those first 3 games of the year against Nevada, FIU, and Villanova, he didn't even look good in those 3 games. And then it got kept going on. And then you look at the game against Oregon, he played good late, but nothing good early. And then you look at the game against UCLA, played good late, nothing really there early, and then gets hurt against Northwestern. And it's just every time something bad happened, it just kept getting worse. And I think that Dom talking about the SEC earlier. I think this just shows the depth of the Big Ten. I just think it shows that anybody can beat anybody on any Saturday. And I think it just really shows how strong the Big Ten is. I think that's what the SEC does. Because I think I'm doing it right. But yeah, I think Iowa realistically can go 6-2 going into that game against Oregon.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brady, on that 6-2. Definitely want to come out and handle business against Penn State, who, as we all know, is bleeding at the moment. And you lose your 2 leaders, your quarterback and your head coach, within the same week. So what the Penn State team is going to look like moving forward, I'm sure they're not even sure, because chances are it's going to be your OC or your DC moving into the interim head coach position. I know they're not going to bring in. I know there was talk of Matt Rule and all these high profile. What exactly they're going to do right now? So the best thing they're going to get is an interim head coach, which is one of their OCs or one of their tight end coaches, receiver, whoever it may be, and they're going to try to build this team back or bring this team back. We still got a lot of season left. We still got a lot of things in front of us, whether you believe it or not. That's what they're going to say. we gotta salvage the program. We got to salvage the season as much as we can and fight for a bowl game. But the team is falling apart, and we've seen it in the last 3 weeks. So I could agree with you that I think we should handle Penn State. Of course, the game's at home too. Get Minnesota, another team who's kind of hasn't really shown a lot, who's been up and down. Another team I think we could handle, just like similar to what we did to Wisconsin. Maybe, obviously, I'm not saying 37-0, but handle them where we play a clean 3 phases of football. And I could see us going 6-2, and then having Oregon at home, hopefully making that a night game, a blackout, and closing and burning the boats when they get to Iowa City, and seeing if we can maybe not run the tables, but see if we can upset a couple teams and put ourselves in a position when we get to December.
So, by the way, Terry Smith, the interim head coach, he was the associate head coach and cornerbacks coach for Penn State. So that's who's leading the charge. Again, we'll talk about it more later in the week, but they're bleeding, as you said, and this is a spot where you've got to get on this team early. So, guys, any final thoughts on the thumping of Wisconsin? Almost the largest margin of victory for Iowa in this series is 41. They got to 37. That's a pretty good ass kicking.
On Wisconsin. Keep Luke Fickell there as long as you want. Luke Fickell, you can have a lifetime contract there. I don't really care. Don't go back to Cincinnati. Don't go running tail between your legs like Scott Frost did back to UCF. Stay at your school. Build something there. Really build something
just
there.
Takes time.
It just takes time. You got to let these recruits get through. He's had 3 quarterbacks in 3 years. Give him another year with the 4th quarterback, and maybe that will get them over the hump. And just keep them there, and I think everything will be fine. I mean, Wisconsin, you guys are so spoiled up there. You need to keep it. When you have a good coach like Luke Fickell, I'm jealous. You guys keep Luke Fickell though. It makes me happy.
It took Jim Harbaugh like 8 years and a couple scandals to finally get over the hump. So let's just see if Luke Fickell can find his own deranged person to have cheat on his sideline. Maybe that's what they need.
He just needs a scandal.
He just needs to find someone who has a 200-page manifesto. That's all he needs. And that is adamant he didn't cheat. And to go all crazy and send him to like UNI, put him in purple and send him to when UNI plays Iowa. Right? That's all he needs to do.
Can't believe that actually happened. But what I would say is I just wanted to actually, another thing was to just take my hat off to Gradowski and the way he battled back, because those knee, ankle, hip, your body could respond to treatment or it could not. So the fact that he got in the treatment room and, kind of forced himself back to want to play with this guy and want to battle out with this guy, it's definitely got to take your hat off for that. And hopefully he can continue to get back to 100, 110%, and we can upset a couple teams in this near future. So definitely want to give my hat off to him.
All right, Dom, plug the socials before we send it home.
We got good old Twitter, we got Instagram, we got TikTok, we got YouTube up and running for sure. Follow us all there on Bleav in Iowa.
BLEAV in Iowa. Again, for Logan Blackman, former Hawkeye tight end Dominique Daphne, I'm Brady Beaton. Thank you so much for listening to Bleav in Iowa.